Okay, looks like we're live across all sites. Let's give folks a couple minutes to come in the door here and get ready. In the meantime, like usual, I'll play some music. This is a royalty-free track that I have from Artlist from Katrina Stone. It's called Best of Luck.
I'm not a joyride, a hit and run. I thought I loved you and you thought I was fun. I'm moving on down the road. Watch me as I go, watch me as I go. Should I look both ways before you cross me, baby? 'Cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on. I'm moving on, hey. Got nothing left to say. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I got a new love. He runs for miles. 67 fastback. Oh, it's just my style. We're headed down the road. Just enjoy the show. Watch me as I go. Should look both ways before you cross me, baby, 'cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Got nothing left to say. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Should look both ways before you cross me, baby, 'cause I don't break for boys. I'm moving on, hey. Got nothing left to say. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. Got nothing left to say. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. Got nothing left to say. Let's be on my way. Best of luck. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Alrighty, so for anybody who has watched a bunch of my videos in the past, who's been following the channel, you will recognize that song because I use it in, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos back around May, June, July time or so. I believe that was the IO video and some of the other ones there, the Starlink, testing Starlink up in the air video, I think it was in there as well. It's a good rockin' travel song. Always a fan of getting started with stuff like that. And I think we're good to go. So let's get started. Welcome back to Tech for Work, where I discuss the things that I found interesting in the tech and business world this week. My name is Jesse Nolan. I am your host and the founder of Tab Geeks. I just finished watching a small startup called Boom Supersonic become the first civil company and their XB-1 test plane to become the first civil airplane to ever go supersonic. This is a major accomplishment and hopefully the beginning of the return of civilian supersonic flight. Now, if you're not familiar with this concept, that means a plane going faster than the speed of sound, something that has been reserved basically for military planes only since the shutdown of the Concorde programs in 2003. This is the first time that a non military company has designed, built, and flown successfully a plane faster than the speed of sound. Now, this is just the beginning. This is only a test vehicle. It's smaller. It's not the full length passenger aircraft that they built. That'll be coming soon. They actually already have a factory that they built in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is complete. And now that their test flight has been completed and they've broken the sound barrier, they're now starting work on scaling that up and building out the full size test vehicle of the full size aircraft. So, best of luck to them. Major congrats to the team on today's flight. It was super smooth. They broadcast the whole thing live on YouTube via a chase aircraft, which is when one plane chases another plane with a camera, usually, to be able to film what's going on. And they broadcast it on YouTube, which I was watching it here in the studio. On the TV, you can see here I've got the replay going just because it was awesome and I love it. And that's great. They had a Starlink Mini on the chase plane broadcasting live via YouTube and X. And similar to how you had the early days of the SpaceX broadcasts, and then you had it became a normal thing for other rocket companies to do it. These guys did it as well. And the quality of their broadcast was great. They had excuse me, they had one of the folks that was on the hosting the broadcast was a former pilot and head of, I think, the British Airways aviation program for the Concorde. So this is a guy who's flown lots and lots and lots of hours at supersonic speeds, and that hasn't happened since 2003 when they ended that program, and so this is the first time that this has been built, and it's I think it's very 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 exciting because essentially what it'll do is it'll cut the flight time in half for pretty much anywhere you're going because it goes twice as fast as conventional aircraft. So you're going to be able to go between, for example, Los Angeles and New York in half the time in just a couple of hours, or New York to London in also a couple of hours, and really just makes the planet a bit smaller. And of course, they're planning on doing this. SpaceX is planning on doing something similar to have a much shorter flight time with launching Starship full of people into space, going up, orbiting a little, and then coming back down to Tokyo or wherever the landing area is. I think that's a little bit further out. These guys seem to have a really, really smooth, straightforward flight, and it looks to be relatively smooth sailing for them to scale this up and build a passenger aircraft. Obviously, when it comes to passenger aircraft, I am sure that the testing for those is extensive and very time consuming and will take a very long time. But this seems to be an amazing first step, and hopefully it'll go smoothly for them because I'd love to be able to get back to going that fast and, being able to travel a lot faster to places and spend less time on aircrafts because I do a lot of travel. So, one other interesting thing to note here is that this flight took place in the exact same airspace as when the legendary pilot Chuck Yeager first broke the sound barrier back in 1947. This is in the Mojave Desert at the spaceport over there. So I keep saying it over and over, but I love living in the future. This is awesome. So if you missed it, again, the company name is Boom Supersonic. They broadcast it on YouTube and X. So go and check it out. Very exciting times. Yeah, of course, F-16s and F-35s, they go supersonic as well. But those are military planes, and those are little ones. They're not designed for large consumer aircraft and changing the face of an entire industry, which is what these guys are trying to do. So props to them and good luck to them, and looking forward to that. In case you missed it, I slowed down a little bit last week and I only did one full-length video. Was a breakdown on getting started with Chrome OS management with Brian Kim, and just going into what it takes, testing it out on some Chromebooks, and seeing how businesses manage Chrome OS devices, Chrome OS Flex, etc. How all that works and fits together. So if you didn't see that on the channel, go and check it out. Already barreling on forward. Here's to some of the other things that happened this week. Meta, aka Facebook, is planning to partner with Oakley smart glasses. You may be familiar with them, just like Meta Ray-Bans. They are pretty solidly known throughout the world. They also happen to be owned by the same company, which is why this makes sense. Both Oakley and Ray-Bans are owned by the Luxottica group, and Facebook is looking to go for a more high-end model of the glasses. These ones are likely to include a screen and very possibly wrist control, and could also be coming this year, according to Bloomberg's report on this. The glasses are likely going to be aimed at athletes and will probably dig into the action camera market, I imagine, given that athletes tend to wear sunglasses when doing sports and recording them with action cameras. So if this camera is good enough and can handle that, which I imagine is something that they're working on, then yeah, we're likely to start seeing some interesting POV views from POV. Yeah, I guess POV views make sense from folks and creators and athletes that are wearing these instead of strapping an action cam to their helmet or to their vest or something along those lines. So personally, I would prefer that they would just make a normal pair of sunglasses with the camera on them. The lenses on the Ray-Bans are weak. They are not so dark. I like, dark tinted, polarized. I want to be able to look straight into the sun and still be able to see the road in front of me because that's a real concern here in Southern California. And I prefer curved, sporty sunglasses compared to the Ray-Bans because I don't like having the light filtering in from the sides if I'm trying to filter out all of the light that's coming in from the front. That being said, I don't like the fully wraparound ones, which is what they're planning with the Oakley smart glasses. They're going to be the probably based on the ones that have like one single frame that goes all the way around the front, makes you look like Cyclops. Those are not for me, but I understand they're very, very popular in various sports and with athletes. So keep an eye on this space if you're interested in that. Like I said, it makes sense that they're working with Oakley because Oakley is a sister brand to Ray brand under the Luxottica group. So we are, likely to see that and then possibly even expansion into other brands as well. In other news, this I can't believe this was only this week, and this week felt like a month. In other news, President Trump, alongside of Sam Altman from OpenAI, as well as the SoftBank folks and Larry Ellison from Oracle, announced a $500 billion Stargate investment project. And I'm thinking, oh great, we're finally going to get interplanetary travel via gateway wormholes invented by aliens. No, not the movie or the show. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch it. It's called Stargate. It's a fantastic sci-fi series. A little bit campy at times. There was a couple of spin-offs. The latest one I didn't like at all, but the early stuff, yeah, Stargate is a lot of good fun and is definitely on my roster of shows that I rewatch from time to time. But what they're planning to do with this $500 billion Stargate project is they're going to build a tremendous amount of infrastructure in the US in order to power AI applications and research and so on. So taking what the individual companies have done on their own as far as building out data centers and scaling that up tremendously. There's a lot of questions around this, such as where the hell are they going to get $500 billion? Why aren't other players that are currently in the space involved in this, such as Google, Microsoft, Meta, etc.? Not to mention XAI as well, who blew everyone's minds when they built a data center in a teeny tiny fraction of the time that it normally takes to even plan, never mind build and bring online a data center. So that sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen that OpenAI got the front on this. And I mean, usually with these government contracts, you get a couple of folks involved in it. This is an investment, so not a contract. Who knows where the money's going? Technically, it's only going to be used by OpenAI, which is exclusivity. I don't know. There's a lot of questions around this. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. It is nice to see a lot of money being pledged and put up for a project like this so that the US stays at the forefront of this industry. The news that I've talked about in weeks past about the smaller nuclear plants or even the larger nuclear plants coming back online to power all of this likely is going to play a big role in this because if you're building enormous data centers, you're going to need enormous amounts of electricity. And so I believe the first one is already underway, under construction in Texas somewhere. So stay tuned for that. I saw an interesting interview with Satya Nadella from Microsoft asking him questions about this, where they asked if where the money's coming from and because Elon Musk went on Twitter, or X rather, right after the announcement and said that he has it on good authority that they don't have the money to put together $500 billion. So he was one of the ones challenging where the hell it's coming from. And in a total boss badass move, Satya Nadella said on television, I'm good for my 80, as in billion, as in that's what he spends on development of data centers every year anyway. So this is what he's spending. Yeah, I've got my 80 billion. Sure, no problem. Yeah, it's under the mattress. Uh-huh. I thought that was hysterical. So stay tuned for that because this will only continue to be dramatic as it always is when you've got a bunch of these folks who are involved and are very larger than life, if you will, and have their own interesting plans about how things should play out. So the drama will continue. We had Samsung Unpacked was last week, and I'm not much of a Samsung guy. I like a couple of different Samsung products. When it comes to phones, it doesn't work for me. I don't get their UI, the Samsung One UI. Psychologically, something with my brain, I can't look at it. I can't use it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I go and look for settings, and it's all in weird places that don't make any logical sense. Maybe I should have been in the Samsung environment since day one. I don't know. I use Android on the regular. I use iOS on the regular. I can find stuff in both of those. Yes, I can search for it, and I do find it through search, even on Samsung. I don't even know where to look. I don't even know where to start. And so that's why I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Samsung phones. Obviously, they sell millions and millions and millions of phones around the world, and they are extremely popular. And they really drive a lot of the cycle that we have. And there was a lot of interesting innovation that was talked about at the Samsung Unpacked event. Unfortunately, most of it was Google. A lot of the talks that they were having, a lot of the features that they were announced, was a lot of Gemini on a bunch of new Samsung phones. And from the coverage that I saw, because unfortunately I wasn't there, it seems like the Samsung phones haven't really changed all that much from last year. Slightly new processor, more updated processor from Qualcomm, of course, and I don't know, maybe some more RAM, maybe not. They did pull a one more thing at the end where they announced a new Edge, which I guess is reusing the old Edge brand back from the day when they had the wrap around the Edge screen where they would put up notifications and different information and stuff on there. Um, so I guess they're reusing that brand, but it's supposed to be super duper thin. They didn't announce anything about it. Just here's a thing. Here's an Edge. It's a thin phone coming this year, supposedly, maybe. And no other information, no internals, no specs, nothing. It's just super thin. So it's been heavily rumored that Apple is working on an iPhone Air, which is supposed to be super thin, or maybe just the new Pro will be super thin. I'm not sure. Was the Samsung trying to scoop them out of the gate and get theirs announced before Apple has a chance to grab the news cycle? Maybe. I don't know. Um, but it seems to be the direction that these phones are going every year. They get thinner and thinner, and of course with the breakthroughs that we've had with the foldables, we've seen how thin a slab, a side of it, could be. Obviously that's not the entire phone because of the fact that you can have two sides of said slab. However, as we continue to make progress on those folding phones, which have to get thinner and thinner, it stands to reason, as long as you can have the structural integrity of the device, that you would be able to have thinner and thinner phones. Again, the iPhone 6 was pretty thin, and that was a bendy phone. So, you're gonna have to solve for that. Obviously, there's new materials always going into these, and the phones are stronger than I think they ever have been, with the exception, of course, of the old Nokia. What was it, the 3090s from the old days, where you could make Thor's hammer with one of those. The old bricks that literally have batteries that last forever, that people have dug out of storage after a decade of non-use and non-charging, and it still has battery charge that you can play Snake with. So those are great phones. Those are probably the strongest phones that were ever made. I would have to say. There's a joke that goes around with those that they made a case that was meant to go around the phone to protect the phone. And the joke is, well, no, it wasn't to protect the phone. It was to protect the floor when you dropped the phone, because the phone would be fine even if you dropped it. But I digress. Hopefully, we'll see some interesting new form factors and whatnot coming from Samsung and from others in the industry, because these phones are a little bit boring. It seems like they are not changing things up all that much from year to year here. So all right. What else happened at Samsung Unpacked? The other major thing that I want to talk about is something that I have been tracking very closely since I saw it first announced slash leaked at Google I/O last year. This is Android XR. Google is working with Samsung and XReal and a bunch of other companies that are big in the virtual and augmented reality space. And this is their first major new operating system in like a decade. And they had some aspirations and even some products with virtual reality back in the day, like way back in the day, 2017, 18 was it? I guess it's not way back in the day, but it does feel like it. And that never really went anywhere. But this is we don't have a whole lot of information about it, which is why I'm stuttering on this here. But essentially, it's a new headset. It looks like the well, Android XR is the operating system from Google, but it's powering what Samsung calls Project Muhan, which is their headset that looks basically identical to the Apple Vision Pro, except for the fact that it's thinner, smaller, has a slightly different head strap, and it doesn't have the goofy screen on the front that's supposed to show your eyes and creep the hell out of everybody who looks at it because, sure, Apple was going for the fact that I'm paying attention to you. You can quote unquote see my eyes, but that screen just, no, creepy, weird. These don't have that, but they do have everything else, and they do look like a Vision Pro, complete with shiny metal exterior and so on. But it's going to be all googly because it's going to be running a version of Android specifically for virtual and augmented reality. I'm very curious to see where they go with this because, as you may know, if you've been watching my show or my videos, I've been testing out the X-Real glasses. I just did the Air 2 Pros as well as the X-Real 1. I have ordered the X-Real 1 Pro, which is a major update to the glasses, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing. The question is how that is going to manifest with Android XR. Will it be a new headset from them? Will it be the existing glasses are going to be able to use that? Will it be a dongle that runs Android XR that plugs into the glasses that opens up that operating system freestanding world, etc.? Right now with the X-Real glasses and some of the others that are out there, there's nothing like there's no controller for it. The controller is the device that you're plugging into it, whether it's a phone, a laptop, a video game console, handheld, etc. Whereas Android XR is kind of like an Android phone built into the headset. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go with that. And there's not really much more information on that in the sense of cost or timeline or what it can do. That being said, Marquez Brownlee, MKBHD, one of my favorites of all time YouTubers, did just get a sneak peek and has dropped a video talking about his experience with that and showing off some of the interface a little bit here and there. Still not a lot of information on it, and not a lot of people have gotten that opportunity. I think he's the only one that publicly has been allowed to show it off thus far. It looks amazing. I am very much looking forward to not having to pay $3,000 for a headset. Looking at you, Apple. I do think I have to go to the Apple Store though, and at least demo, if not buy, and then probably return the Vision Pro just so that I can see what the all the hype is about and see if it's as good as everyone says it is. That being said, it's also enormous and heavy on your face, which is not going to be really great for productivity. But I am working on a video that is asking the question, trying to answer the question: is augmented reality or let's say XR, which is the bucket term for virtual and augmented reality and everything in between, is that ready for work? Can you get good work done? And with the X-Real glasses, I would say, yeah, we're mostly there. I cover this extensively, much more so with the X-Real 1 glasses because you get the full widescreen wraparound screen, but I have to get the Apple headset and test that out and see what we can do with that before I'm willing to release that video and put my full thoughts on it because we're close, but we're not quite there yet. So, but I am excited. My guess is that coming, probably not Google Next, but Google I/O in May, we're probably going to see a full unveiling of Android XR and the partners, and Samsung may actually even be there. Fingers crossed they give one away to everybody in attendance so that I get one for free and I can take it home and tear it open and bring it in the studio and test it all out for all of you. Google folks, if you're listening and you want to give me a early test unit or whatnot, let me know. I'd be happy to obviously unbox it and do my reviews on it and discuss how it can be used for work. I'm curious how they're going to have that built into the admin console for management and so on. So very interesting things to discuss and to look at. But yeah, it's a great space. I'm very excited about it. So onward, another big fire spun up in California, and again, this week felt like a month. This fire is already mostly under control. It felt like it wasn't for a long time. We had a lot of ash falling from the sky. It was a lot of smoke. The air quality was terrible. This fire burned a lot and evacuated a lot of people, and thank God they've got basically the majority of it under control, and I believe forward motion was stopped on that, so it's just burning, in the area that it's already burned and what was left. The folks in the Malibu area, the Palisades fire area, have just been allowed back into the area, into their homes, what's left of them, if anything, to go and see if there's anything left of them. So Things are, I wouldn't say coming back to normal, but for anybody who's not affected by that, life is pretty much back to usual out here. But yeah, I find myself looking at the calendar going, it's January 28th. What the hell happened to January? Onward to February, I guess. Yay, my birthday month. So happy birthday almost to me. In other news, Rocket Lab, speaking of the fires, is rushing to launch a satellite for a company called Aurora Tech. This is going to be part of a constellation that they're building, that Aurora Tech is building to detect wildfires around the world. And the reason why they're rushing to launch this is because, well, California wildfires, and it's been pretty bad, and they want to make sure that they are on top of it as fast as possible. So that's going to be launching probably in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. I actually got an opportunity to see a Rocket Lab rocket up close and personal yesterday, no, Sunday. I went with my kids to the California Science Center. And while they don't have the space shuttle Endeavour, which is usually on display there, they have it all wrapped up and put away in storage right now because they're building a new massive structure around it. That's going to be the only one in the world where it will be constructed in the launch position with the orbiter, which is what most people think of the space shuttle as, but that's the plane part of it. The orbiter will be mounted to the engines and all of the components as if it were getting ready to launch and to take off. And then they're going to have a structure or building that is built all around it so that you can go in the different floors, the different areas that are built, the different levels that are built around this rocket, so you can see, the cockpit and the storage bay and all of the different areas there, as well as look up the business end of the rocket. So unfortunately, that was all under wraps, but they did have a Rocket Lab rocket that was there, and it was smaller than I thought it was going to be. It was, I know that these rockets are small and they're meant to be dropped in a shipping container and shipped around, and I just didn't expect it to be that small. It was, I could have almost given it a hug. Kind of, it's, I don't know what the diameter of those are, but I think probably top to bottom they were, I don't know, 5 feet, 5 feet wide, 6 feet wide, something like that. Hard to tell because it is a 30 foot, 20 foot, 30 35 foot rocket, I think, something along those lines. But always cool to see those things up close and personal. Rocket Lab actually has a factory here in Long Beach. So if anybody knows anybody at Rocket Lab that wants to get me in for a tour, yes, I promise to film it if they let me. And I would love to go to the factory here in Long Beach and check it out and be able to talk about it because I love space. I love space companies. I love the tech that goes into it. I think it's amazing. All right, onward. Ubiquity dropped some new products again. Thankfully, it wasn't as much of an onslaught as it was the first couple of weeks of the month. We have a new, what do they call it here? A PoE over two-wire retrofit extender. Let me bring up my screen here because this is something that I want to be able to show you. Where's my screen share here? Share screen. Apologies to the folks listening on the audio side. Um, Here we go. So the PoE over two-wire retrofit extender is essentially a coax converter. So you plug your Ethernet into the adapter, and then you plug that into a coax cable, and you're able to connect your network over coax. Now, I've used these from other companies, Lino Vision, Lino something, over years past, and had decent success. You can do PoE, etc. And data. It's obviously not going to be that fast. I think it was limited to 10100. This, I believe, also probably. I don't know. I actually haven't seen technical specifications. Let's see what the 10100. That's what I thought. Megabit and Ethernet. You can do PoE plus plus, which is great. Max power consumption without it is 3 watts. They have a whole list here of recommended maximum cable length for what you're trying to do. And of course, it is managed by Unify. I definitely want to get my hands on this because this is an area that I have run into problem with in the past. And especially as they but have been rolling out the ability to adopt cameras that work with the OnVIF standard, a lot of those systems are coax. So if you can utilize this for those cameras to convert that and then bring them into the rack, that would be very, very interesting for me. They're showing it with access control, so I'm curious if I guess access control systems have been done over coax. I suppose. Maybe I'm thinking of the no, it's twisted pair or coax cables. Okay, interesting. So I will definitely get more information on this and hopefully get some to test out and see what we can do with that. I actually have some coax here running through the walls that I may have cut it all at this point because I was like, yeah, I'm never going to use that. But I do have some clients that have cameras that are connected via coax, and I could most definitely test this with. So Ubiquity folks, if you're listening, you've got a lot of stuff that I would love for you to send me. So hopefully there's a box with my name on it getting in the mail soon. The Speaking of things that I want them to send me, the AI LPR camera is now shipping. Sold out. Yes, of course. It was in stock earlier today, and it'll probably be in stock again soon because they've actually gotten really, really good recently at keeping things in stock and having a lot more inventory available for folks. So well done on that. I'm very proud of them for that. Because that was definitely a challenge during COVID and after COVID, and I used to buy a whole bunch of inventory so that I had inventory in house for when I needed it, and now I just don't even bother because I usually can get the things that I want when I want them. This camera is a beast. The AI LPR I saw, I think Cody from Mac Telecom had it side by side with the AI Pro camera, which is also a beefy boy, and this thing dwarfed it. So I definitely am looking forward to getting my hands on this. This is a camera that's designed specifically for license plate recognition. It's not meant to be a camera for camera's sake. It is to be used and pointed directly at license plates, and actually has an amazing feature where it is able to read license plates in the dark, which is just like, I don't even know how that works because what IR emitters reflect off license plates, which normally blinds the camera, and then you can't see anything when you are. So I don't know. Yeah, I've never been able to read license plates at night unless it's a bright spotlight that is pointing directly at them. So I'm gonna have to ask the folks how all that works, because I think that's very very interesting and a little bit of magic, I suppose. So checking the comments over here, back to way before. Sorry, Pirate Justin, I missed your comment here. Says that the Stargate series was awesome. I agree, except for Origins. That didn't work for me. I didn't really like that. And That's what I got in the comments over here. So back to the camera. It's a 3x optical zoom. It has a 50-foot IR capture distance. It can do high speed detections at night. I understand up to 90 kilometers an hour. That's a long range night vision optimized for recognizing license plates on vehicles moving up to 90 kilometers an hour. So that's very impressive. And I have a perfect spot to put this. There is a large, busy street outside of a community center that has it's a like one of the main public roads in town here in the city, and has lots and lots of cars that are constantly going through it. I'd love to be able to point it at that and test grabbing all of those license plates so we get an idea of what cars have been loitering in the area or showing up way too often, or something to that effect. So looking forward to getting hands on this. Hopefully that'll be awesome. Also, Protect 5.2 was announced yesterday. Protect, if you're not familiar, is the software that runs Ubiquity's cameras and whatnot. I'm trying to see. I think I have to get back to the main Unify site. Here we go. To be able to see the info on that. Do they have that listed here? Maybe not. But essentially, there were a bunch of new things that were announced with that, and the one that I'm most excited about is the fact that you can now use, what are the notes for it? You can now use the access control cameras, the cameras on access control devices in Protect, which I have to update some of my sites and test this because that is something that I have been begging them to do for a very very long time. So very excited for that, and waiting to get my hands on some of the new gear, as well as being able to test these things out probably next week. But that's gonna be a game changer because I love having more cameras, more better, honestly, and being able to have a eye level or near eye level camera that's part of the card reader at the doors is definitely going to be an added asset and something I look forward to testing. So I'll get on that probably this week. Two more topics here, or one more topic really is, or two more topics actually. NVIDIA got hammered yesterday by a Chinese company called DeepSeek. DeepSeek. One sec. Here's what I know so far about DeepSeek. There's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation, a lot of assumptions, a lot of questions. Um, Essentially what happened here is the company called DeepSeek released their AI model, and their AI model is designed in a way that is significantly more efficient. It was a lot, or so they say, a lot cheaper to train. They only use something like 20,000 of the same chips that the big boys are using, whereas the larger players such as Google and Facebook and XAI and of course OpenAI had to use 20, 50, 100, 200,000 chips in order to get the same level of capabilities in their models, whereas these guys were able to do it highly, much more efficiently. Um, and it has the whole market kind of freaking the hell out because they're like, well, if these Chinese guys were able to get it done much more efficiently, then nobody's going to need Nvidia chips or ARM chips or whatever, and so their stock tanked. I think it dropped 17 or 18% yesterday. It's already climbing back. But here's the interesting thing: here is that DeepSeek went and open sourced their model, which means that the whole industry is going to be able to learn from it. And here's what happens when you have an advancement in an industry, especially one that is moving as fast as this, is that all of the other players are going to say, "Oh, wow, that's a pretty clever approach." And then they're all going to adopt it to their models, and then all of their models are going to become that much more efficient. And then the capability of what we can do as a whole with these different models is going to explode because now with the same chips, which they're still buying and still investing in $500 billion investment, as I talked about at the earlier part of the show here, in Stargate and other companies that are still investing in this are still going to continue investing in this because we're still not where we want to be with AI, and there's still going to be tons and tons and tons of need for applications running for the hardware because of the applications that are going to be running on AI actually utilizing these models. Because first you have the enormous amount of hardware that it takes to train these, which whether it's 20,000 or 200,000 chips, depending on what you need to do, they're only going to continue pushing the limits here using more and more chips. It's just going to be every once in a while, you're going to have a jump like this. The last jump that we saw was Google going 2.0 with Gemini and multimodal and opening up their I forget the term for it, the parameters, I think, the ability to have a much larger scale model here, and all of the others were able to catch up to that and are continuing to do so. And the innovation here is just wild. It's just happening everywhere. And so what's going to happen here with these guys is great. That's another competitor and another contributor to the space. And now the other companies are going to say, okay, great. Let's utilize this. Let's improve with this and continue moving forward. And it is interesting that they open sourced it instead of just saying, hey, we got this model and then running it cheaper than everyone else. Um, Not sure what the play is there, given that it's China and the Chinese tend to be involved in pretty much all of their big international successful companies, if not all of them. Um, who knows what the play is here? This came out days after TikTok was banned and then unbanned, and will maybe be bought or sold or whatever. Who knows what? So conspiracy theories abound and questions abound, and for the most part, just hold on, just take a deep breath. The market is going crazy. The market will calm down. Nvidia is not going anywhere. All these companies are still buying enormous amounts of chips, and I had some other good analyses that I liked and shared over on X. So if you want the full information on that, you can go and check that out. And then also Jacqueline Dallas over at Nothing But Tech, the MBT YouTube channel, Nothing But Tech. She just did an emergency video talking about all of this as well. So go and check that out. And I'll try to remember to put a link in the show notes if you can't find it. Now, to wrap up here, the last couple of things that I have going on here is what do you call it? A point to an email I got from Google saying that Notebook LM Plus is now going to be rolling out to workspace editions, qualifying workspace editions, but they're going to have access to Notebook LM Plus as a core service. And this is likely tied to the fact that they rolled out Gemini to everybody, which I believe I talked about in last week's show, as well as my other video. So a whole video that I did on explaining Google rolling out Gemini to everybody, qualifying all of those qualifying accounts, which basically means business standard and above. We haven't seen what's happening with nonprofits, with Frontier, not Frontier, Frontline, with Frontline accounts, um, or with enterprises. That's going to be announced soon. I believe the enterprise rollout starts tomorrow, if I'm remembering my dates correctly. So stay tuned, I guess, for more information on that, either next week's show or maybe I'll jump on and do an emergency recording video to talk about what's happening with on that front for enterprises. So stay tuned for that. Other things that I'm working on here is the telly review. I showed off the telly TV a couple of times. I'm going to try and finish my access control install video that I just did. I just finished a home internet install and network expansion video that has been about a year in the works because drama with contractors and back and forth and getting things done and whatnot. So hopefully that'll come out soon. I also did a Chromebook versus PC video, which is going to be coming out soon, as well as reviewing the Chromebooks that I have in house. And hopefully they'll be sending me a couple of the new Chromebooks that just came out as well, and I can start reviewing those for all of you. So that's all I got here. 40-minute show. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all to those who listen or watch the show after the fact. Hope you all have a great day, a great week, and I'll see you next time on Tech for Work.